Hey everybody, this is Liz. Just thinking about you all today, and those of you who are needing some office staff. You're right in the middle of the spring rush and you are wishing you had got somebody, or you do have someone. When you are starting to need them is really not the best time to get them, but sometimes you grow quicker than you think you will. The leads are coming in, you have crew in the field, let's say it's you, maybe a couple other guys in the field, and you've been trying to manage everything and you are needing to do estimates and sometimes be on the jobs with the guys. So you wonder, man, I need help and I need help now. So you can put an ad out and you can get somebody that can work in the office. They don't have to be highly skilled. You can start them from scratch and you can tell them, hey, I'll give you a rate if you want to hop in and go with me. A lot of times a college student would be really good because they do have a capacity for being in the groove of learning. And a high schooler can also do this, but that would just be for these summer months, which is really all you need. So you could put an ad out for that, and you could say it was seasonal, and you could put the verbiage in, need somebody to jump in and help me through the rest of spring rush. So when you are jumping right in the middle of spring rush, you are going to have a lot more challenge to train. However, I would embrace this because there's no time better than when it is hot and things are, hot as in we're moving and grooving, hot outside too. But to bring somebody in, and the thought process should be, we're going to do one thing at a time. We're going to eat this elephant one bite at a time, and we are going to work together. We're going to partner together, and we're going to make this happen. So that person would need to be somebody who's flexible, can handle change, can pivot quickly. They're not as hard to find as you think for an entry-level kind of job. And so don't think of them as walking in and being your all-in-all office person at this time. You don't need to hire somebody that is vastly experienced. You're right in the middle of the spring rush, and you need someone. If they have office experience, that's awesome, but if they've been in the business for a long time, they're going to cost you a lot right now. The reason I say you don't need somebody highly skilled is because you want to replicate yourself. So if you're the kind of person that's a little bit of a control freak and has to have had everything just dialed in and perfectly the way you want, and you're OCD, you want somebody to stick by you like glue. And you keep doing what you've been doing. You stand there because that's what we did. We didn't have a place to sit. But you would sit there at the desk with them and they would watch you. You would talk through your process while they're listening. For instance, you would start answering emails and they would see you respond to a customer the way you respond to them. And you would sign your own name as per usual. As time progresses, and I'm talking every single email, so that you are basically replicating yourself so that they would be able to answer exactly like you would want them to answer. Keep in mind, they're not always going to be as good as you, but you might be surprised that they might be a lot better than you at some things. They might already be gifted with words and creativity and be able to put something written together better than you. We all have our gifts. You might be great with numbers. They might be great with numbers. So if you have a crew you're working with in the field and you have a CRM, let them sit beside you. Talk through the routing and the dispatching and the communication with the team. If you have WhatsApp and you're sitting in front of your computer, you can have WhatsApp up on your screen. You can be sending voice notes and texting your team all day and keep in contact with them. Just let this person sit beside you and be immersed. A lot of times they'll just be writing their own notes. And just take a deep breath and just do it one thing at a time. You can look at it like, I'm going to take the thing that I hate the most and get that to them first. So let's say you hate the emails. You would do the emails with them till they're doing it the way they want, and then hand it off. And then once you hand it off, don't ever go back in there and start doing the emails yourself again. So just let them fumble around. If they mess up and they make mistakes, let them call the customer and them deal with it. They can do this. If they're a flaky young person, then you probably shouldn't have hired them in the first place. But you should be able to tell a solid person who can look you in the eye and they seem legit. And there are people like that out there. And if you say, this is stressful, this is busy, this is hot, and we'd be jumping in and going for it, and they are not even fazed by that, hallelujah. The biggest thing for you might be the phone calls. Now, we have I have a command center that I run. This is where I am right now. And we actually take the calls for the franchisees during the business hours. And then when we're done with business hours, we have Max, who is our AI guy, and he answers the phone. And then we call those customers back the next day. He gets all their information for them. So it's the same with that. Having an office person takes the weight off of you to have to be answering the phone while you're out in the field or doing estimates. So once you've hired that person on the first day, don't answer your phone again. So you can put a voicemail on your phone, and it says, you have reached so-and-so, and call yourself the estimator. You don't need to call yourself the owner. And then you can have an automated text as well. So you could have a copy and paste that you want to put into reminders. Thank you for reaching out. Please call for the quickest, best service. Please call our office at, and you would have the number. So every time the phone would ring, let it go to voicemail, and put that text in there if they've texted you and they are expecting an answer back because they're very attached to you. Discipline yourself to make it look like there's an automated response, and don't answer it. What Mike and I did was, there were some older customers, and that's the only way they had ever communicated with him. So they kept calling him and kept leaving voicemails. And when I would talk to them, I would say, you keep calling Mike's cell phone, and you need to be calling me here at the office. I can help you best. But they just kept calling his phone. So what he started to do was just say, hey, so-and-so just called me. Can you call them and see what they want? He would never answer. So he made sure he never did. If there was a voicemail, he would forward it to my cell sometimes. But this person that's in the office for you, they're going to mess up. They're going to make mistakes. They can call back and say they're sorry and that they told them the wrong information and that they're new, and please bear with me. And just their attitude and their approach is going to be one of humility and wanting to learn, you hope. And one thing that's really important is that you consider your office person a partner in the way that you're partnering together to have a successful day, to bring all your crews in, to bring all your routes back, all the different guys, all the different crews, all the different equipment. As you are operating things and your office person is watching this occur, they're just absorbing all of this. And when I came to work for Mike, it was just like that. It was in April. He was trying to do estimates, work in the field, and deliver materials, because at the shop there was all kinds of landscaping materials. Plus, it was a customer-facing store, and the customers could come in there, order product, order deliveries, and pick up product. So it was pretty much impossible for him to do all that. And when he contacted me, he said, I'm doing over 100 hours of work just in the office, and I need somebody, same thing, that I can trust, that will just jump in and go with me. The very next day, I would stand beside him. He would click on the person, take me into the CRM, answer their questions, show me how he responded about their invoice, about the situation, about the damage, the stuff we had to go back for, everything. He just talked me through what he was already doing. And that's what you can do. Instead of being overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I can't, I just want to hand this all off to them. Chill, just chill. You're going to just show them stuff as you do it. And most people, once you've shown them a few times, they're good to go. They'll catch you in the way you work and the way you are. And if you look at them as a partner, once they're doing everything, you're going to run stuff by them. The only calls you should be answering during the day are your team, your office person, and your family. So the rest of them, you're trying to get work done. You're trying to make money. And that office person is going to take the load off of you so you can do that. And the focus is, of course, that you make money. So you want to keep the crews running efficiently with tight routes all day. And your office person can learn this. If you have a CRM, which you will, have them watch the videos that came with that CRM and learn the CRM and watch videos on the invoicing and scheduling and all of those things. They'll learn more than you because you didn't have time to do that. Typically, let's say we buy a camera, we only ever use 2 or 3 functions of it because we just bought the thing and started using it. We never took the time to look into the manual and do all that it could do. So it's the same with the CRM. If somebody is in the office immersed in everything that's going on and they start learning those things, they are going to help you be so much better, and you will not only replicate yourself, but you will duplicate yourself, and you'll be getting double done. Don't look at it like nobody can do it as good as me. They probably can do it better. And there's gifts you have and there's gifts they have. If you're doing P for P, they can do that for you. Or just leave the hardest things to you, but give them the things that feel like minutia and that you don't want to do, and let them take those over. Typically in our industry, there's not a customer-facing store where we do retail products, and so a lot of the work they do is going to be on the phone, email. That's the customer-facing of it. Have them also know the guys, know the trucks, know the uniform policies, and just immerse them in everything so that they can understand your thought process on stuff. When they're out doing estimates, when you are out doing estimates, you can be able to text them back and forth, but put a process in place for, I'm sending you the notes. If you're in Copilot, have a system created where they can set up to-dos and they can set up estimates for you, drive-bys or in person, and then you're able to put the notes right back on there, and there doesn't have to be any communication verbally between the two of you. Keep notes in the profile. Have your team put notes on their jobs, and so the office person can work with them all day, know where they are, communicate with them to get back, and you don't even have to be involved. So if you have a team member that you trust, let that office person work with them. A great office staff in our industry will talk to the guys, and they will find out how the jobs work, what kind of trucks work best with pulling what trailers, what kind of load can they carry. I found this invaluable. So you come in, your office person should come in seeking to understand rather than to be understood. And I firmly believe, even after many arguments, Lee and I and others about this, but I do believe that some of the best coaches never played the game, but they've studied the game. They know everything about it. They've studied the players. They've watched the moves. And I believe that you could have a good office manager who's never, ever been out there and done the work. If they have the attitude that they can learn from the guys, it's almost better, because they can say, we have this job today. What's your opinion on this? Or what's your experience been in this? Or, hey, can I get your take on this? This customer called and said this. Is that even possible for a mower to go up over a stump and break the blades? How likely is it that I would damage the siding of the house or bust a downspout, things like that? The team and your office person can be very cohesive together. This person could be the game changer in your business, or just use them to get through the season. Understand that you're going to teach them as much as you can, as fast as you can, and whatever they can take off your plate, awesome. And just take it a day at a time and a bite at a time, and you can do this. Now, if you have time at the end of the season and you're actually preparing for the next season, you want to get somebody in the winter, get somebody a little bit closer to spring, maybe February, because then they can still learn about your business. And then once you get into spring rush, you're able to just go do your estimates, and right from the get, he, she, or whatever is handling the office and already knows the team. Likely you're hiring new team members, and so they will all be new. Your office person will be new, and don't be discouraged and don't be overwhelmed. It's so easy to get into your head, especially when you're asking for help for the first time. A lot of times it's when we're so stressed out that we think, oh, who cares? Who cares? I just don't care anymore. I just need some help. And that's the way it was. You know, they say you can say that you overhire for spring rush, but really, when it comes down to it, a lot of people hire when they're so overwhelmed with their schedule and they just got to have anybody who sucks hair, I'll take you. Yes, I'll throw you on a route. In our experience, in the early years, we actually waited till we were at capacity, then hired somebody else, filled their schedule, then hired somebody else. Now we would hire, calling it overhiring because so many people don't work out these days for whatever reason. So I tend to overhire, knowing that people will quit, they'll be late, they'll be fired, they'll have life events and it won't work out for them. But I wish you a lot of good luck. And if you have the time in the winter and you can coach somebody and get them ready, you can even hire, saying it's a seasonal position, that it'll be, say, from February, because March gets pretty busy with everybody starting to mow. You could say it's a seasonal position from February to, August, when it slows down. And then maybe you're not out doing so many estimates and you would be able to do more of that work yourself. You don't want to have an office staff in the winter that you have to continually pay. So if you are smaller still and growing still, that's a huge overhead cost. When I worked at the office and ran the crews in the office, my mentality was I felt so bad that all of my wage was overhead. And so I would think, what can I do to at least earn my wage and some more? Because I knew that I wasn't, quote unquote, generating income. So we sold product, and my goal was to make everything I would make in a day by selling product. So when customers would come in, we had this road fabric, which was just a really heavy duty fabric that we used under gravel and in beds and everything. And so we would sell that by the linear foot. And so I would try to sell that. I would have landscapers come in and they didn't understand math or how many yards they should buy, and I would help figure that out for them. Then they would come and I would load them up. I would talk to customers over the phone, and yep, I can give you a whole load of 32 yards, a truck and a trailer. They would come in and I had little boxes with all the different kinds of products so they could touch and feel. And I did my best to sell this stuff, sell lots of yards and multiple kinds of mulch and soil. I learned about every product so I could talk about it. And I even had customers one time when they went out and shut the door and they didn't know that I could hear them. And they said, wow, did we just buy bark? And they were two ladies that were in the area, kind of highfalutin people in a very wealthy neighborhood, and they were always scared to come in and get product because they thought they were going to meet with some dirty guy, and they were a little bit scared. But it was an entire educational process, and I heard that from multiple contractors and homeowners that it was because of that, and they were educated about the product, that they would come back again and again. So my goal was to make everything that I made back for the company in the product. And the other thing I thought that I could help with is selling jobs. So when customers would call back, I would ask the crew about jobs. I would Google them. I would have answers for these customers on our processes. So let's say we were going to put in a paver patio. I would know the height of the depth of what the product should be, what the product is, how to stamp it down, how to create your base. All of the details that I could, all the places where they could buy product. As much as I could, I would sell the jobs myself. And when people would come in and they would want to buy a product, I would try to, do an install job, and that we could come and do that for them. So your office person, they are overhead. And so if you can make it a seasonal position, that's awesome. You can use family. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. If your wife or your partner is just hopping in to help you, this is a great test of your relationship. But it's also, if you can compartmentalize it and say, right now we are business partners and we are just jumping in and we're getting stuff done. We're not taking it personal. We're going to detach from our personal feelings and what we got going on in our life, and we will readdress it at the end of the day. There is no way you can kick butt and work your brains out like this, these long hours with your significant other, unless you come to some understanding where you can detach and worry about this stuff later. So Mike and I, we are related, and when I came to work for him, our employees don't know unless somebody tells them that we are related. Our relationship is very professional. When we come to work, our goal is to run the business, take care of our people, and we're doing business. It's the game of business. And so we are serving our customers, and we were in a little shop and our computer was in there, and the door had to be open all day because we had customers coming in and out, and I would run out and I would load product and run back in and get the voicemail from the phone call that I had missed while I was out there. And Mike was determined that we would never miss a call. Well, how's that going to work when I was out there loading product for 15 or 20 minutes or talking to a customer and I can hear the phone ring? I remember playing phone tag with a guy that was at the border and wanted some product there. I think it was 3 or 4 times. We called back and forth. But I would tell people, if I don't answer, please leave me a message because I'm out loading product or helping a customer, and then I'll call you right back. And so we called every single person back that ever left a voicemail. If they didn't leave a voicemail, I came back and checked the phone calls and the numbers, and I called them back anyway. I was just out of the office, and it looked like you had called. Is there something I can do for you or help you with? We tried to be accommodating to all of the people in our industry. We helped other business owners, and we became known as the person in the community, who would help everyone. So the little guy who had small jobs and his little truck and trailer would come in, and I would tell him how much product he needed for his customer. I wasn't stealing the job from him. I was supporting him while he did his job. We always believed there was enough work for everyone, and I don't believe that you should ever throw each other under the bus in the industry. You should be buddies and friends in the front yard and hash it out in the backyard. And that's what we always sought to do. So family can work together, but you have to come to some understanding of how you're going to behave together professionally and just settle it. The team has to see you united, and they need to know that if they needed to complain about you to somebody else, that even if it's your spouse or your family member, that it's all business. And so they could come to me and they could talk about Mike, and we would handle it. And this vice versa. He and I would never throw each other under the bus, but we would hold each other accountable, and we were 100% there to do work, to serve the customer, serve the team, and do business. And so if you and your significant other or your family member have that agreement and come to that understanding, you can do it together, and it's actually a pretty powerful thing. When you get done with work, you won't want to stop talking about work because it's pretty invigorating to build something together, and your employees will see that kind of enthusiasm and that life in you and that you're passionate about what you're doing, and they will want to be a part of that too. All that being said, you're exhausted. You're trying to deal with customers, complaints and damages and rain and delays, and spring rush can be so challenging, and there's some days you can barely get out of bed because it's just the whole thing over again, and you're never going to catch up, and you're just drowning. When you get into the winter and you think about the upcoming spring, prepare yourself mentally. The more you prepare mentally and in every other way, the better you will function. So we know spring rush is coming. It comes around every year. Make sure you get your doctor's appointments out of the way, your dentist appointments, and all those extra things so that you don't have to do them during spring rush. Deal with things at home. Get everything put aside. Use paper plates, use plasticware, use paper cups, whatever you got to do to simplify. Get Instacart. Have somebody do your laundry. Have somebody clean your house if you can afford it, just for a period of time so you can do this. And if you're not divided in your attention and you're 100% doing one thing, and it's this thing that's going to bring you money, go for it. Try to get all of these other things taken care of and buy back that time by being able to focus on the one thing that matters right now. You don't want to turn off your leads, ever. So I'll explain that. We would be drowning, and customers would be calling and begging us to do their one-time mow and begging us to get on the schedule. This is huge thing that I learn, and I see many business owners make this mistake. So I would tell Mike, doctors, when they're super busy and they're packed, they tell people they're not accepting new patients at this time. That's what we have to say. We're drowning in work. We can't do any more. We're already working from dark to dark. And so he said, no, you should never do that. He said, you're paying for the leads, and you should never say no. What we should say is, we're booked out for 6 weeks. If you still haven't found somebody to mow your grass then, we would love to put you on the schedule. Keep in mind, all the other businesses are totally packed too. So if they don't mind being on a bit of a waiting list, and we'll fit you in when we can for that initial mow, I look at the initial mows as projects. So if we're already into May or June and they haven't been mowed, that is a project. It's not going to be a little mow, blow, and go. It's going to be a project. And when I say project, I mean it goes on the schedule as a project, 3 to 4 hours, and it is planned for 2 crew, or you're not putting it on a regular mowing route. And we made tons of mistakes so that none of you have to make the same mistakes, and we can tell you how to do it from the get and to do it correctly. So you can turn off the leads, meaning you can slow the flow and things, but please don't just turn people away. Everybody's busy. Tell them you'll get to them when you can. Stay in communication with them. Customers will just appreciate that kind of care, whether you can come back or not. Just keep things organized in your head, write stuff down, have a note app in your phone, talk voice notes into yourself. If you have WhatsApp, you can have a WhatsApp for your own self. And I have one called Liz Chat, and I voice note myself stuff, reminders, things that I need to make sure happen and I can't type right now. I'm just talking that into my phone. Try to take every task that you normally do and pretend you're on P for P and simplify it. Make it faster. Things that you would type, don't type. Do voice notes. Do voice notes to your team. Do voice notes to your family. Everything you can digitize so that you don't have pieces of paper all over the place. Some of the stuff seems like common sense, but every little tiny change that you make and way to simplify things is more money in your pocket. So time management, getting some help, humbling yourself, and just say, hey, I need you to jump in and go with me. Bribe your spouse. If you need help for a little bit, say, hey, this is not forever. I promise I will blah, 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 buy you a trip, or we'll go somewhere for the weekend or something, but I just need you to jump in and help me with this for a little bit and pretend we're not in a relationship and just dig in here and go with me for a little bit. It could turn out really awesome. So I want you to know that I'm thinking about you today, because it was a bit of a ramble, but my heart is really with you, and those of you, especially where Mike and I were when I started, it was terrifying for me. So think of that for your office person. They're walking into this operation that's a happening thing, and nobody's just going to sit around and coddle them or anything. I had never been on a tractor in my life, and Mike hired me, and the next day I was on a tractor loading product into people's brand new Toyota Tacomas, and I was absolutely terrified. No clue what I was doing. And of course you have to fake it the whole time, and then you can throw up when they leave because you're absolutely terrified. I was scared all the time. I had worked in in-home care and in the medical field, and so the things with business and not understanding it and didn't understand how all the measurements of the property worked or anything about lawn care, nothing. I knew nothing. So all of it was YouTube, Audible, Google, and boots on the ground, massive experience. And you can do this. Your people can do this. It is possible to find somebody out there to help you. You can do this. And so I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the season. And I am always available, Liz at AugustaLawnCareServices.com, if you want to reach out and ask some questions. I care about you, I care about your team, and whether your business is small or big, there's always things that we can all help each other get better at. There's a quote that I love, that everyone knows something you don't know. And so it's a partnership, it's a team, and together we are trying to raise the professionalism in the landscape industry. Love you all. Over and out.